What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday, and a not so happy topic to discuss. There has to be something bad going on, right? You've got an NFL team with 53 players, 16 practice squatters, coaches, front office guys. There's something not so great going on somewhere, right? And everyone asks about this constantly. Like every time I stream, every time I post a video, people want to know what's up with Abe Lucas, and I totally get it because Abe Lucas is a really good player, could become a great player this year, and we haven't seen him since week one, and people want to know what's up. So, where is Abe Lucas? What is Abe Lucas up to? Are we going to see him again anytime soon? It's still pretty vague, and I have to acknowledge the fact that in this case, I think vague means bad. Like, this is not a positive sign. So, we got this tweet from Corbin Smith here. I'll read it out here. We got this yesterday afternoon. Pete Carroll says Abraham Lucas is not quite ready, still dealing with some discomfort. He received an injection in his knee earlier, and while he is running, there's still some steps that need to be made before he returns to the field. So it seems like we're not there yet with Abe Lucas. So at best, I look at this comment and I say he's a couple weeks away. At best, he's still a little ways away. When they do things like injections and these delaying tactics, what they're trying to do is prevent surgery. They're trying to put off surgery until the off season. They're trying to find ways to allow him to get by, to scrape by for a while they play these games, and then after the season he can get the surgery. But if the injection doesn't deal with the problem properly, then sometimes you have to then go get surgery. And at this point, especially if Abraham Lucas has to get surgery, we probably wouldn't see him again this year. So I don't take this as a very encouraging sign. I know it says that he's running now, but being realistic, I look at this and I say there's a better than decent chance that Abe Lucas doesn't play again for the Seahawks this year. This is a knee issue that he had last year, this offseason, and now it's carried over into this season. So this isn't something brand new either. It was understood that Abe Lucas might have chronic knee issues, even I think before the draft, and that's part of the reason why he was there in the third round. He may have been a first round pick if not for the knee issues. So sometimes this is what happens, but it is still possible he comes back. It's still on the table. I don't want to dismiss anything yet, but as of right now, I have to be real and acknowledge the distinct possibility that we're not getting him back this year. So the good news is, if we don't get him back for this year, then there's a pretty good chance we're going to have him ready for the start of OTAs next year because it's so early. He would have the whole offseason to heal up. He would have whatever, I mean, he would have multiple months of regular season football left because presumably they're going to make a judgment at some point in the pretty near future on whether or not he comes back this year. So he might have 10 months to get ready for next year. And at this point, that's kind of what I'm expecting. But I acknowledge there's some ambiguity here that leaves the possibility of Lucas coming back. Again, excuse me, not all bad news. All right. So obviously, if the Seahawks get Abraham Lucas back, that's great. That's an issue that kind of takes care of itself. That's an area where we drastically improve. But let's talk about life without Abe Lucas because the trade deadline. Look, you're not really going to trade for a good right tackle. Good right tackles, teams are not really looking to move them all that often. Maybe you could find a team that has just happens to have a good right tackle that is trying to blow it up. Like I think maybe New England would consider it, but those guys are valuable. And we just already made a trade. We made the Leonard Williams trade. I don't think that we're going to then turn around and give up another significant asset for a right tackle when Abe Lucas projects to be back next year, worst case scenario. Like, what are you going to do? Just throw Abe Lucas away and trade for a franchise right tackle because of this one season? That's probably not good business. So, we're going to try to replace him with what we have. And the good news is, what we have is at the very least interesting, right? I mean, Stone Forsythe genuinely played a great game on Sunday against the Browns. He's playing out of position. Right tackle, that's not the position he thought he was going to be playing when he came into the NFL. That's not the position his skill set lends itself to. And yet, he went out there and I barely noticed him out there because he was so clean. Didn't allow any sacks, allowed a few pressures, nothing all that bad. PFF loved him. 84.3 overall, 94.6 run blocking. This is Stone Forsythe we're talking about here. He can't run block. He's not a good run blocker. He's never been a good run blocker, even going back to college. And suddenly now he's a better run blocker than pass blocker? Where did this come from? I know some of the pass blocking grades are because of some really bad games that he had that you can almost throw out because of how awful they are. Like, that's not typically what Stone Forsythe does, but is this guy run blocking now? He's never been that before. So if Stone Forsythe is the guy going forward, I no longer view that as a terrible thing. We have a decent sample size now of this guy being solid. Now, most of it was at left tackle, but we now have 2 straight games of him playing significant snaps at right tackle, which I thought would be terrible, and he's been good to great, maybe even excellent. So, if Stone Forsythe is your right tackle for the rest of the season, then that's at least workable, I think. Realistically, I still would like to bump him back to left tackle if there's an injury with Cross, but until that happens, this can work. This can be okay. So that's the Stone Forsythe side of things. He's the guy who, at this point, I would be the most excited about, which I can't believe I'm saying that again. You've also got Jason Peters, and I got to talk about this a little bit because he actually looked okay against the Browns. Not as good as Forsythe, I don't think, but neither guy did anything awful. Now, if you look at the PFF grades for the Browns game, Peters graded out decently, but he was terrible in pass protection and elite run blocking, which I guess kind of makes sense, right? He's an older player. He's almost 42 years old. He's going to turn 42 before the Super Bowl. He's trying to work his way back into game shape. He's been practicing his butt off for a month now. Run blocking's easier than pass blocking, especially for a slower and older offensive lineman, so I guess that makes sense. Obviously, this pass protection, if this is actually the level of play he's providing, that's going to be a problem, but there's something workable here, maybe, right? We're going to have to see a couple more games before I feel good about it, because the reality is Peters is a left tackle. Like Forsythe, he's a left tackle. He's played right tackle before. He can do it a little bit if you really need him to, but overall, it's probably his worst position of the positions he can play. I think he might be a better guard than right tackle. So when I look at Jason Peters, I'm not exactly super excited to put him at right tackle. I think that might be, of the 3 positions, or you want to say 4 positions even, it might be his worst position. But as a right tackle, it's more important to be a run blocker. So if this is the run blocking we can expect from Peters, okay. But again, you've got Stone Forsythe over there who was better, according to PFF at least, in every way against the Browns. So maybe this rotation thing is going to be the way going forward, which I'm not a big fan of. I think you want to have the guys that start build cohesion and chemistry. But this is interesting enough to where I'm not hating it. I just hope that there's an understanding that if things stop going so well, we're going to need to make a decision and stick to one guy for the rest of the season, probably Stone Forsythe. The last guy would be Jake Curhan. He's the actual true right tackle in this list. The other 2 guys are left tackles. Jake Curhan is a right tackle, but we've already gotten a pretty good sample size on what Curhan is. And while it wasn't bad, it wasn't good either. It was just kind of okay. He was a good run blocker and he was a bad pass protector. And granted, that's not radically different than what we're seeing from Peters or Forsythe, but Curhan's ceiling just seems like it's lower, right? Like Curhan is probably playing the best that he can play not right now, but earlier in this season when he started several games at right tackle, that was probably the best he can do, and it was not good. Again, not bad, but not what you want when that's your ceiling, because the floor is like what he did against the New York Giants, where he's just getting completely blown off the field by Thibodeau. So you have to look at that and go, well, does Forsythe have a higher ceiling? Maybe so. Maybe he does. It seems like it. I don't want to commit to anything too firmly right now, but it seems like there's at least a higher ceiling there. And then you've got Peters, who I don't want to go crazy with his ceiling. He's about to turn 42, but he's a future Hall of Famer. It's what he has probably is a little bit better than what Curhan has shown. So I one of these three guys is going to have to be the answer if Abe Lucas can't come back. And at this point, at the very least, we need to prepare for that possibility. So I can see pros and cons with all three guys. Curhan's the true right tackle. Forsythe seems like he's playing the best all around. And Jason Peters is a future Hall of Famer with a ton of experience. I can see it all three ways. I'm trying to put it. If I had to pick one guy right now, I guess it would be Forsythe. But between these three guys, hopefully we can find a workable solution. All right, I'm going to get out of here. See you guys later. Go Hawks. More stuff coming later. And let me know what you guys think. What are we doing at right tackle? Or is Abe Lucas going to surprise us all and make a triumphant return in the coming weeks? See ya.